Early Breakfast with Rosie Wright on Times Radio.
17 minutes past 5. As I mentioned, Justin Welby makes the front page of most of the papers. The Times says the pressure on Welby is to stand down. That word pressure on the front page of the Telegraph as well. Pressure mounts on Welby to resign. The Daily Mail have the quote of his colleague saying he must quit. This is all about an independent review into John Smythe. He was a Christian barrister who brutally beat as many as about 130 boys over 40 years. This independent review concluded that he might have been brought to justice had Justin Welby formally reported him to the police a decade ago. We'll get into that story in a bit more detail. And then Gary Lineker is on the front page of the papers. The Sun says, what a finish by Lineker, as it is Gary's last season on Match of the Day. He's apparently going to quit the BBC after the World Cup. That's next year. And the Mirror puts it as end of an era. Presenter Lineker will see out the season and then quit the show after 25 years. Here to go through the papers with me, the barrister, broadcaster, president of Octopus TV, Andrew Eborn. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning, Rosie. Always a delight to join you.
Let's talk about this, the pressure currently on Justin Welby to quit. He said at the end of last week that he'd considered resigning and that he decided he didn't need to. Do you think that's changed over the last couple of days?
I think the pressure is mounting, isn't it? And as you say, all of the headlines are screaming for him to stand down. I always say that trust comes in on foot and leaves on horseback. And the trust in so many institutions is at an all-time low. Basically, they're sort of saying that his position is untenable. The question is, what did he know and what did he do about it? And you've got a very senior bishop, the Right Reverend Helen Ann Hartley, the Bishop of Newcastle. She said that basically Welby's resignation was needed to draw a line under the Church of England's mishandling of abuse cases. It's a horrible case, horrible about Smythe's abuse of these boys over a long period of time. He was beating them. Some of them had to wear sort of male nappies to stop the bleeding and so on and so forth. It is absolutely appalling. And apparently, well, he died in 2018, aged 77, and it's abuse over 5 decades. That's what they need to look at. We should put this into context, obviously, as Welby's due to retire basically in a very short period of time, January 2026, when he turns 70. And it normally takes about 8 months or more for a successor to be chosen. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, but certainly the pressure is on.
Yeah, some of this, the Times has sort of looked a little bit further behind the story, and they're saying, look, Justin Welby's apologised for failing to ensure that allegations passed to the church were investigated energetically enough. Justin Welby insists he had no idea or suspicion about the abuse before that date. And something that's come up is this sort of alleged lack of curiosity. And is that sufficient to say you should resign?
Well, and that's the thing, is that what did he know and what should he have been a bit more rigorous in his sort of questioning? Because he did, well, he knew the man, but basically the suggestion that he didn't energetically investigate or ensure that it was energetically investigated needs to be looked at. But as I say, we need to sort of get to the bottom of it. What did he know? What should he have suspected? What should he have done? And as I say, it's all about trust, and we need to make sure that trust is built back up.
Yeah, so I think if we believe Justin Welby, his account is that he's told us what he thinks he knew and what he did at the time, and it's whether that was robust enough. And he'd concluded that meant he didn't have to resign, but his colleagues obviously do not believe the same, particularly the Bishop of Newcastle. The Times Radio Breakfast are going to speak to one of the victims to hear how they believe the Church of England could have handled this, obviously much, much better to avoid some of this absolutely grotesque things happening. So there'll be more on that a little bit later. Let's move on, Andrew. Keir Starmer, front page of The Guardian. He pledges to make the UK a global leader of the green race, particularly after Donald Trump's victory. Do you believe him?
Well, absolutely. It's an opportunity. Trump campaigned on the fact that he thought that climate is a complete hoax. And he's going to be a sort of wrecking ball. We've got this COP29 starting. There's a fair COP. And we have it all the time. Temperatures are hitting, 1.5 above and so on and so forth. So that's horrendous things. So obviously people are all flying in.
Keir Starmer says Britain had a huge opportunity to get ahead of other countries in the race for green investment after the election of Donald Trump. He's arrived in Azerbaijan for the COP29 summit. We were talking yesterday about the fact that he's turned up, others haven't. You can also see on the front page of the Times a picture of Keir Starmer with Emmanuel Macron, because he was at Armistice Day commemorations yesterday. Emmanuel Macron is not going to Azerbaijan. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The other story on the front page of the Times is, you'll hear more about this on Breakfast as well, tens of thousands of adults are going to be given pills to stop them smoking. It's part of a big kind of government drive aiming to prevent ill health. We're definitely seeing from this Labour government strategies and policies in place to try and prevent us from getting unwell in the first place. This is a sort of another prong to that approach to try and really stub out as much smoking as possible. It's a daily tablet. It works by binding to receptors in the brain to stop you craving or enjoying nicotine. I guess that sounds a little bit like Ozempic in that it's changing your motivations. It's going to be introduced in England across GP surgeries and stop smoking services as an option for anyone who wants to quit. So as well as having sort of nicotine patches, you could have this drug. 85,000 people a year are going to benefit from it. And the price is about £25 for 28 tablets. So you're looking at, I don't know what that is, about 96 pence or something per tablet. But taking a pill every single day just sort of is a reminder of how difficult it is to shake off smoking. Of course, Gary Lineker's on the front pages of many of the papers. Nick Allaby will be here to go through the sports news with me shortly. I believe we've got Andrew back. Andrew, good morning. Are you here?
I am here, and the Gremlins were obviously hitting the line. It was any reference to Trump and interrupting being the wrecking ball at COP29. That's what threw us.
I'm sure. How often do you watch Match of the Day, Andrew?
Well, I never miss an episode.
I don't believe you.
25 years of the glorious Gary Lineker. How could you miss it? But after all the rumours, all the speculation, he's going to be leaving after World Cup 2026. They've been talking about this forever, haven't they? They normally talk about his salary of 1.35 million under an 18-month extension. Basically, he's understood to accept a cut, basically, to make sure he goes out in glory. He's going to be doing the broadcasters' coverage of the 2026 tournament in North America and next season's FA Cup. And basically, it's going to be announced officially today.
And Gary Lineker's obviously sort of really overturned the podcast world, actually, in the last sort of 18 months or so. And everything comes to an end, doesn't it? It's hard to know when to leave. And he'd always had those big rows with the corporation about his tweets.
Yes, absolutely. He loves to comment, and it's caused all sorts of things about whether BBC presenters should be able to comment. And there was saying, well, if you're not a newsreader, you must be able to have an opinion, and what the case is. And the BBC have sort of looked at their policy as a result of it. He's definitely been a controversial figure, but also obviously a very popular one, and that's why he's lasted so long. He's going to go out now in glory. It's put the end to the speculation. 25 years. It's a great way to go out and presenting that sort of World Cup. And we'll be glued to every single second, won't you, Rosie?
I think I will actually watch it. I grew up in a household where my dad watched Match of the Day all the time. Unfortunately, with 4 daughters, none of us were quite as enthusiastic as he was on sporting, anything really to do with sport, which you'll know if you listen to the sports news here on Early Breakfast. I want to ask you about the Magic Circle, Andrew, because lots of papers have got this story today. You are a member of the Magic Circle.
I'm a proud member of the Inner Magic Circle with Gold Star, have you know, for 35 years. It is the premier magical society in the world. It was formed in 1905. And basically, it wasn't until 1991 that women were allowed to be admitted. And there was an iconic, historic meeting on the 9th of October 1991 when some of the first women, Debbie McGee, Faye Presto and others were admitted. But it was revealed that actually there was a previous person who came in under the name of Raymond Lloyd, who was in fact a woman named Sophie Lloyd. And she had joined the society 18 months earlier after fooling all of the Magic Circle examinees with her disguise. She was basically sadly let go from the Magic Circle at that meeting. And what's happened now because of her deliberate deception, and now the Magic Circle is trying to track her down. So it's an appeal, if you like, is that if anybody knows Sophie Lloyd, we would love to welcome her back to the premier magical society in the world. We would love her to be a member. She won't have to do an exam again, and we would love to get her story. And there's even talk about turning her brilliant deception into a movie. So it would be brilliant if she could get in touch. Anybody knows her, get in touch to Andrew Eborn at Octopus TV, and other channels are available.
Do you know how excellent that she tricked all the magicians. I think that was excellent. For pretending to be a man for 18 months, you got away with that. Andrew, you said there's an exam. How difficult is it to get into the magic circle?
Well, it's very difficult. I've been an examiner for a number of times. When you're a member of the inner magic circle, you can be an examiner. And basically, even Prince Charles, as he then was, had to do an exam. He's famously a member. King Charles is a member. And at the Magic Circle Museum, they have the cups and balls that he did in front of the people. And there's a picture on the Magic Circular, which is the in-house magazine, showing Charles doing these cups and balls. I would urge anybody. We do lots of great shows for the public.
But hang on, sorry. How do you become how extensive or comprehensive is the revision that you've got to do?
So what happens is you have to do a performance. There's two ways of doing it. You have to do a performance in front of the examiners for about 10 minutes or so. And we judge you on a number of things, your technical skills, your presentation skills, and how you look, and so on and so forth. And the three examiners then make their recommendation. Then that goes to the council to check. But all of the details are on the website. What we also do, we have a wonderful youth engagement procedure where you can be a young magician from the age of 10 until you can become a member of the Magic Circle at 18, just training people. And we have an apprenticeship scheme with anybody who's interested, guiding them that way. You can also do through a written side as well. If you do a thesis on something to do with magic, we can look at that as well.
Wow. Okay, right. It is fairly comprehensive. I think I'd enjoy the performance, but maybe not the revision. Now, this feature in the Times today, this news article, the 6-word Google search that leaves you open to hackers.
Isn't that awful?
I mean, tell us what the search... Don't worry, you're very unlikely to put this into Google accidentally.
Well, you say that. I mean, and I'll tell you what it is. The words are Bengal cats legal in Australia? And hackers have basically created fake websites that if you click on it, it downloads lots of malicious software known as malware. Well, this is what's called poisoning. And the reason they picked the low likely search is because it's easier to set up these fake websites. I did, in the interest of this glorious programme, tap in those words. And because the story is now all over the place, not least in the Times, the first several articles actually take you to the story about how it's all fake. So that the guidance is there. As always, I say, be careful out there. Online is the new front line, and that's why you've got to be careful of hackers and fake websites and everything else.
Andrew, thank you. Andrew Eborn, the barrister broadcaster, and as we've just heard as well, member of the Magic Circle.